Hi, so I thought I'd do the next piece on martial flow. Last time we talked about stances and cuts, and now to get into some more fancy stuff with, we'll start with the figure eights. So you have your downward figure eight, and then your upward figure eight. So from the side, downward is just that. And then upward is just that. So to do the downward figure eight, I mean, you can do it across the body, but you have so much space that you have to cover here that I use it from a side forward stance. From a forward stance, and I go, and so the downward eight comes down across. Make it big cuts for right now, and then once you get really good with it, you can do it with the arm outstretched. Anyway, big cut, come down, big cut, big cut, big cut, big cut, big cut, and you're basically making a mix. Then we can shorten that up, so it's just the forearm that's moving here. So keeping the elbow in, and yes, I outstretch it for this downward cut, but then it comes in and I cut my leg off, but that's okay. So that's the downward figure eight. Upward figure eight, it's here. So here again, same principle. If I'm facing from the side stance as opposed from the horse stance, from this forward stance, I have a lot less room that I have to maneuver around. So that's the basic movement. And here again, whether it's a upward eight or a downward eight, start very large if you need to, and then as you get more comfortable with it, then you can shorten up the movements till it's right where basically it's your forearm and the wrist and the fingers that are doing all the work. Now my grip on this for the downward and for the upward is pretty much these 3 fingers. Comes down. Hold on a second. Yeah, so it's really these 2 fingers and the thumb that is working the rest. The rest is all loose. Now the upward figure eights have the same hand movement. Same fingers. These last 2 fingers don't really do too much. Now, to break it down a little bit and to really get into the practicality of it, if you think about it, okay, downward cut, come up, walk, downward cut, come up, walk, and you can do this with both arms. Cut, up, cut, up, cut, up. That is the basic movement here. Same with this. Cut, reset, cut, reset, cut, reset, cut, reset, cut, reset, cut, reset. And so there you have it. So this makes it, you know, if you break it down to the individual movements, you can see where that's coming up, either a ready position or it could be a block. Cut up, ready position. I'm used to, because I'm doing this slow, I have this habit of using the second hand. But here again, block. So from the side, so downward, now the upward, cut, so that's the upward 8 and the downward 8. From that, we can then go into what everyone likes to do, which is the obi ani. Which, quite frankly, I don't get the fascination with, but that's just me. Because, in reality, whether it's dueling with a Sith or if you had a real sword, the reality of it is a majority of the time, like 3/4 of the time, my front is not protected. So it's here's the part where it's protected. Ready? Here. Then it goes behind, 2, 3, and then we're back into forward. So that's that. But let's go through this. All right, so cut, bring it around, bring it down, rotate it behind, come across. So that's, you know, there's, I guess you could say there's 4 parts to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice I'm moving my hip when I'm doing it. That way it does 2 things. 1, it gives me that clearance. Okay, because otherwise I have to maneuver it coming this way and it's just messy. So 2 is that it gives me this hip rotation to deliver more speed and power into if I was going to deliver a cut. So back to how we're doing this. So it's 1, and this is just the way I do it. And here again, it's the same hand movement, hand grip, as we did with the upward and downward hands. So from the side, 1, 2, 3. So again. So it circles up, comes down, circles behind, down. And then from behind, circles up, swings down, behind, comes across. So 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's coming here, all right? Big circle, think of it as a big circle. Come down, come behind. And sometimes sometimes it's helpful to have that big movement. And then as you get used to the movement, you get yourself tied up. Anyway, as you get used to the movement, you can shorten your arm distance. Now, the way that I prefer to do this, and the way that makes more sense, is just like doing the upward or downward 8, we can do that this way. But here again, we have to cover our entire body. If I was actually using this, it'd be from this stance. I have a much narrower distance to cover. 1, 2, 3. So here again, now I'm doing that figure 8 and coming around, cutting down diagonally, coming down, pivoting around, pivot, and that's where you can see that cut is really, that's where the power comes from, is this part right here. I have all this rotation. It provides me this clearance, but it also provides me that power. So here, here, here. Sorry, I had to break it up. Anyway, getting back to what we're doing. So we're here. 1, 2, 3. Come across. And we're right back to where we started. And I went back into the downward 8s. Don't be surprised if that happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. So cut across, bring it around, cut across, drop it down, around, come across. Now, the way that I was taught this is here again, those pieces. So you have this downward diagonal cut. Downward diagonal cut, all right? You have this here, okay? Here again, it's that. Either ready, in other words, okay, I came here and now I have to stop because I have to do something different. I have to switch here, and now it's this downward diagonal cut. Come around. This is a block right here. It protects me as I come around. Okay, so if they're coming in with that, coming in from the side here, I have some protection. And that's typically overlooked. So from the side, it's here, here. And from behind, It helps if you have your balance point located too. This is a contact saver, and that's my balance point. So it's much easier if you have it that balance point because it tends to flow easier movements. We can also do the same thing that we were doing before, but instead of the downward movement, we can do it with the upward movement, and that becomes downward. It switches. So upward, 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 upward. So it becomes a movement unto itself. I have that down here, 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 and then here, 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 here. It goes right back into those upward cuts. So to do that, do it from this side. So I'm coming up, I'm spinning around, spinning around. Now instead of coming this way, I'm coming up, 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 spin. And that's how you can do that with an upward, with upward cuts. So from this side again, it's cut up, pivot, 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 cut up, cut up, cut up, pivot, 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 cut up. So that's how I do those movements. Other people have different ways of doing it. You know, when you get to this stuff, whatever works for you. Some people modify it heavily, some people don't. I think it's more important to understand what the different parts can do than to just try and get the fastest spin you can. But that's just me. So let me do that upward cut from this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, interesting thing that I just saw is 1, 2. Alright, let's try that again. I saw it. So, comes up, pivot, pivot, pivot. Now, I have that where it comes around here and I can go right back into that cut. So I hope that was helpful. So now we covered basic stances, basic cuts, the downward 8, the upward 8, the obi ani, I believe the plum blossom, and what to me makes more sense. Here again, it's your flow, it's your what you want to do with it. So, you know, if you want to do part of that and make that whatever is yours, great. If you want to take the whole thing and make it yours, great. Do what works for you. And judge yourself against yourself. not what other people are doing. That's where we tend to have that big misstep, is when we look at ourselves and where we are, and then we look at someone else and where they are, and we say, how can they be doing that? I can't. Well, maybe they've been doing it for 20 years. Maybe they've been practicing 10 hours a day. Maybe they're just natural at it. Who knows? And that's not important. The important thing is to look at where we are, where we were yesterday, and where we are today, and realize that if it's a new technique, even if it's a new step, new cut, whatever, that we're not going to be perfect at it, that we are just learning, that we are going to make mistakes. And oftentimes those mistakes are so valuable, because that's either where the next move comes in that we didn't know about, or that's where, once we really look at it with more of a microscopic lens, that's where we discover, okay, we're doing this piece wrong, or for our purposes, I need to change it to this. Work on technique, not speed, not power. Work on precision. Doing those, and then the speed and power will come with time. So that's my words of advice. Do what you're doing, keep practicing, and you're doing fantastic, you're doing awesome. And know that if you don't believe in yourself, other people do believe in you. So anyway, have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. As always, if you have questions, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do another breakdown, slow things down, what have you. So have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.